Hi, I'm Gabriel, and welcome to Black Force Comics Weekly Review, Episode 6-7. I know what you're thinking, where was last week's episode? It's here with this week's episode. We're going to start filming them a little bit earlier so we can give you all the latest comics on time instead of a week later. So what we're going to do for this week, since we missed the comic released on the 19th, we're going to go over some of the comics from the Wednesday of the 19th, and then we're also going to go over the comics from this Wednesday, the 26th. So we're going to start off with last week's. Last week's Secret Six number 5 came out. If you've been reading this one, it's from DC Comics. It's a team of supervillains that have been kind of brought together by the Riddler. As it's revealed in this comic book, the Riddler brought them together because they lost something that he had. They were all present on a boat during a presentation of sorts that the Riddler had this expo of everything that he had, and he was showing it off. And one of his most prized possessions was stolen. And all these villains happened to be on the ship at that time. So now he's kind of got them together, and he's using them to see where his lost treasure is. And the big reveal in this one, which I thought was really cool, is Ralph Denby is the detective that's in here. It looks nothing like Ralph Denby that we know, and he's working with the Riddler to try to get back Sue. And if you're familiar with post New 52 or pre New 52, Ralph Denby and Sue Denby had died in DC's Identity Crisis. Sue Denby was killed by the ex-wife of the Atom. So it's a sad story. If you haven't read DC's Identity Crisis, you should really read that. If there's anything I can say about DC that's positive, they know how to produce continuity. Way back in early 2000s, they produced that storyline, and it led up to everything. The OMAC story, Brother Eye, all this stuff led up to the New 52, to the Flashpoint. DC has got how to put a story in the long run together in the comics. In the TV shows and the movies, not so much. Marvel's got that down. But in the comics, DC's been winning on that end. Also, last week came out 1872 number 2. And like I said, this is 2 weeks old already now. I hope you read this. This one, it did bring a tear to my eye at the very end. One lonely man tear at the very end. Bullseye shoots Captain America. Shoots Steve Rogers right in the heart, knocks off his little medal that he has, the sheriff medal, just kills him dead. And then, to add insult to injury, Kingpin picks up his dead body, throws it with the pigs. So sad. Yeah. So if you haven't had a chance to read this one, I highly recommend it. It is on my desired read list, my personal list of comics that I do like to enjoy. A lot of these are, because I can't show you all the comics. There's such a huge number of comics that come out every week, and it's really hard for me to nitpick through these and tell you which ones. Next one, Valiant, because I'm a Valiant fan. Book of Death number 2. Now this one's really interesting. What happens is they go to attack the Eternal Warrior, and he's going up against Ninjak, Livewire, and Exo Man-O-War, as well as their robots. Can never remember the robot's name. But they go up against the robot, they go up against Eternal Warrior. And Eternal Warrior, you gotta remember, this guy's thousands and thousands of years old. So he's already has an attack plan for all of them as they come up. And they try to attack him, and they fail horribly. Of course, Ninjak being Ninjak, he goes for the first kill, jumps at him, falls into a trap. At that point, the Eternal Warrior takes Ninjak's sword, because he knows that Ninjak has that Batman mentality where I have to be prepared to fight all of them. And so he has this sword that has the capability to defeat everyone else. It's in Unity. And so he uses, the Eternal Warrior uses Ninjak's sword against everyone else. It's pretty awesome. It's a good book. If you have a chance, please read the Book of Death issue 2. It's only a 4-part series. We're already halfway through. Pick it up. Next, Howard the Human. This is going to be a one-shot tying into the Secret Wars Battle World by Marvel right now during their reboot. Now this one is Howard the Human. So it's Howard the Duck, but Howard the Human is a human stuck in a world full of animals. So all the characters that you know, such as the Vulture, is a vulture. The Black Cat is a cat. Kingpin is a giant pig. It's entertaining. And he's working with Daredevil, and they're I'll let you read it. I don't want to explain this one too much to you. Just know that if you like Deadpool, you're going to like this one. If you liked Chevy Chase in that movie where he was a detective reporter, you'll like that one. Fletch. So yeah, if you liked Fletch or Fletch Lives, you'll like this one. It's got that same type of humor as well as that Deadpool-esque type humor to it. So if you have a chance, pick that one up. And these are all last week's comics. And then finally for our kids comic for last week, Teen Titans Go number 11. Now this is a cool one. It gave us an episode or an issue of Cyborg growing a mustache. This mustache, because Cyborg's a cyborg, it had some technology integrated into it and ended up taking over his whole face and became a full-on beard. And this beard had its own sentient mind and its own choices and decisions. Go and decided it wanted to take over and do its own thing. It wanted to take over Cyborg. And so the Teen Titans had to fight it, and it was beating up the Teen Titans. It took Jinx to come from the Hive, Cyborg's girlfriend, the villain girlfriend. It took Jinx coming and cutting it off with the magical sword to save Cyborg from his crazy mustache. So that was the comics from the week of Wednesday the 19th. Now we're going to go on to this week's comics from the 26th. Starting off with some light humor going into this week's comics. Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra. Again, this is another tie-in to the Secret Wars Battle World thing that Marvel is doing right now. So it's, if you can imagine a world full of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and Hydra agents and AIM agents doing their job, but yet living with each other in the same community, sending their kids to the same schools, attending the same parties, attending the same events, same concerts. That's what you have right here. These everyday people dying and living with each other. It's hilarious. It's a good laugh. It's a good off-beaten path from all the seriousness that's going on in comics right now, especially in the Secret Wars Battle World thing. If you have a chance, check out Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra. He's just trying to live his life, provide for his wife and kids. That's what he's doing. You got to think about that. All these agents of Hydra and AIM, they're getting killed all the time. What about them? They have a home. They have families they got to provide for. Think about them, S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. Also, this week, moving on, we have Flash number 43. If you've been keeping up on this one, in issue number 42 and issue number 41, Zoom has gathered all these different people from throughout time who have different superpowers, and he's kind of building an army to fight Flash. Now, at the same time, in the current time, Barry Allen's dad has broke out of prison because he's trying to help Barry because he knows that Zoom is trying to get to Barry. He doesn't know that Barry's Flash, but he's trying to save Barry because he knows that Zoom is after him for some strange reason. He knows that Zoom killed his wife, and so he broke out of prison to protect his son, because what good father wouldn't break out of prison to protect his son? And so he breaks out of prison, and he's trying to get Flash's attention. In this comic, he sets up this whole elaborate scheme to get the Flash to come to him. He sets up a break into a bank to get locked back up because he knows the Flash will come and stop him. So the Flash goes to the break-in, realizes that the hostages, they're all mannequins, and the gun that the perpetrator has is fake. And he takes off the mask and he says, "What are you doing?" And Barry's father tells Flash, "I need your help. I need you to protect my son Barry." Again, not knowing that Barry is Flash, he's saying, Zoom is coming for my son and I need you to help him. So the police come, and he makes Flash promise to him that he's going to protect his son. And so as he's leaving in the wagon, he's yelling out to Flash, remember, you're going to help my son." So yeah, it's very touching. So Flash, it's always a good comic. Next up, we have Superman number 43 from DC. This one ties into the Truth story arc and the Justice story arc going on to the Alien Nation. Now, the way that this one's playing out, if you've been reading the other Superman-related comics, such as Action Comics, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman Superman, they're all tied together. what the way Superman, this story is reading, is it's telling you what's happening before truth. So what happened that led up to Lois Lane exposing Clark Kent as Superman. Now, a lot of us didn't know, who, as we read the comic, didn't know how it happened. We just know that all of a sudden Lois Lane outed Superman as Clark Kent, and Clark Kent had been on the run since then. This comic tells you exactly how that happened. Lois Lane knew. She had just found out that Clark was Superman, and they were helping each other. And the gentleman that knew, there was a villain who was trying to use Superman and his secret identity. He was blackmailing him, saying, I'm going to tell everyone unless you do certain things for me. And so he had captured Superman. He forced Superman to do a couple of things. And that's when Superman first used his solar flare blast thing, was getting away from that guy. And so that guy contacts him again, says, look, I'm going to tell everyone who you are unless you do something for me again. Meet me at this coordinates. And so Superman and Lois Lane, or Clark Kent and Lois Lane, go to meet him at the coordinates. And then he's there again threatening, if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to tell everyone who you are. And so Superman's doing whatever he wants. And then Lois Lane's telling him, stop, you don't have to do it. I just told everyone who you are, thinking that she did a good deed. And as we all know, it didn't help at all. So yeah, that's it. It tells you exactly how it led up. So it's good if you want to know that origin, if you want to know why, get that comic, Superman issue number 43. Grab it. It's a good one. It's going to be a keeper. It's $3.99 right now. Next year it might be $4.99. First print. All right, next one. Moving on. Sinestro number 14. If you've been keeping up with any of the Green Lanterns, the Lost Army, after Convergence, after everything came together, the Green Lanterns kind of just disappeared. We don't know what happened to them. We don't know where they are. Sinestro and his Sinestro Corps have kind of taken the position of the Green Lanterns, and they're guarding the galaxy now, using fear, but they're guarding the galaxy nonetheless. It works, so he's doing it. So this is really interesting to see Sinestro taking on that role like he was on his home planet that he was guardian of, where he ended up being a dictator. That's kind of the same thing he's doing now. He's protecting the galaxy, the universe, using fear, and he's building up this army. But a lot of the soldiers he's using aren't necessarily soldiers who instill a lot of fear that we think fear. It's just their character, or like, oh, I don't want to see that person, or I might be scared of that person. But they're not necessarily fearful people from their heart. So you really got to read this. He's building an army for some reason. It's not really revealed why he's building the army, but it's revealed in this comic the characters he's getting to build this army. So it's interesting to see what's going on. So if you have a chance, please pick up Sinestro. Get all the lanterns that came out right now. There's not very many. They did away with the red lanterns. So all they got right now is Sinestro, of course, the Green Lantern Rogue, and they also have the Green Lantern Lost Army, which tells us what happened to the Green Lanterns and follows the last of the Lanterns, led by John Stewart. So check that one out as well. All right, next up, Last Days of Ant-Man. This is again tied into the Secret Wars Battle World from Marvel. This is what's happening as the Earth 616 and the 0161 are colliding at the very last moments. This is what the events are going on. This is kind of the way that they're all going out in this big flash of light. Like I went over the Punisher one with you. It's kind of like that. So in this one, he's hired again. As we all know, he has a firm, a security firm that he opened up with a couple of villains. And he's running the security firm, and he gets hired by an old lady to go retrieve a relic from the Slug. If you don't know who the Slug is, it's that guy right there, very sluggish. And so he's hired by this lady to go retrieve a relic from the Slug. And so he goes and he does that. And he comes back to the old lady and finds out that she is running a nursing home for Golden Age superheroes. So they get this relic. She comes back. All the Golden Age superheroes are dressed up in their Golden Age costumes. And that relic actually brings them all back to their youth. And so the owner of the nursing home actually is a clairvoyant, and she knows the world's about to end, so she's using that relic to give everyone one last day of them being superheroes. So it's really sad, really depressing. So she tells Scott Lang, hey, the world's about to end, I'm the clairvoyant, no one believes me, but it's going to happen. The Avengers already know. Everyone already knows. And Scott's like, what are you going to do? She tells him, go spend your last moment with someone you love. So he goes to go see his daughter, and she left. She left because they've been having a hard time, him and his ex-wife and his daughter. She was kidnapped. Her heart was taken out. Another one was put back in. A lot of things are going on. So she left on a school vacation, trying to get away, enjoy her time with her friends. And so it finds him with no one now. The very last pages, it's him going to a club. He's in Miami. And so he's going to a club. And in this club, he finds the new Beetle, the daughter of the drug lord. And so they meet up and they have a little fling for the night. And he's like, you know, what the heck, why not? So that ensues, and then the world ends in the morning. Sorry, Ant-Man. Sorry, Scott Lang. But don't worry. It just seems like it's over. Pick up the Secret Wars Battle World. Scott Lang's still in there. He's also going to have the new comic coming out once the Secret Wars Battle World ends. I love Ant-Man. I love the story so far. It's good, so I'm sure it's going to continue to be good. I know the same writers are going to be working on it afterwards, so pick it up if you have a chance. All right, final one for the night. Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors. Now, this is going to be our kids' choice for the week. This one is really interesting to me because it's bringing back some aspects from the Dark Avengers. So, in this issue, Spider-Man works with the Iron Patriot. And the Iron Patriot, as we know, it's not Rhodey. It's Norman Osborn. And so Spider-Man is working with Norman Osborn, and he goes and tells Fury about it and says, hey, what should I do? I think he's a changed person. He's genuinely seems like a good person. And Nick Fury's doubting it, and then they fight someone together, and they see that, you know what, maybe he is changed. So for the sake of Disney XD, Norman Osborn and the Iron Patriot seems like a good guy. If you read any of the Dark Avenger stuff, you know that's very far from the truth. But in the world of Marvel Disney XD, he's going to be a good guy. Just because you're a bad guy doesn't make you a bad guy. So that concludes all of our comics from this week and last week. We have no news to tell you except that we're going to be filming these earlier and getting them released to you earlier. So please bear with us as we make this adjustment and change. Don't leave us. Continue to watch us. Let us know in the comments what you want us to talk about, what you want to hear about, what news you want to know. There's always stuff going on. Check the Facebook page for Black Forest Comics. We have a number of events that are coming up, so check it out. All right, we'll see you next week.